One thing that is still being talked about is the Kalen DeBoer contract as part of our Hoover Toyota drive home on Friday and again this morning coming in. And there are still a faction of Alabama fans and some media people that are questioning whether or not Greg Byrne should have given Kalen DeBoer a contract extension and a raise at this point. And obviously this was worked out back in December when Michigan wanted him. I wanted to give you a chance to give a thought on that, on whether or not you believe DeBoer should have been paid and kept at Alabama and keep him from going to Michigan. And then I've got a thought on finances when it comes to this.
I think one of the more flattering things is when, somebody wants your head coach or your coordinators, and obviously there is still a huge market for Kalen DeBoer. And you can't deny the fact from year one, going into the most difficult transition, we've discussed that in depth, going from Nick Saban to Kalen DeBoer, still being the last team out of a college football playoff, and then in year two, winning double-digit games, playing for an SEC championship, winning a college football playoff game on the road. It has gotten better from year one to year two. He's paid like a top 5 guy now, and I think what Byrne knows, like, this is one of the best coaches in college football. Whoever we get after him, the results might be better, but on paper, the best option right now for this program is Kalen DeBoer. And so locking him in, to me, hopefully quiets a lot of noise, because there are some people that believe he is still on a hot seat going into year 3, which is pretty incredible.
And Brown, Nick Saban at the golf tournament last week said it out loud that there were 26 players, I think it's the number he used, that would have been on special teams or on the depth chart that would have contributed for him that left before DeBoer got on campus. When Saban retired, that left. Nick used that number, so he thinks that Kalen has done a good job sort of rebuilding that roster.
Yeah, that gets underreported a little bit, because it gets said that he took over a college football playoff semifinal team. And Nick Saban said last week that was not going to be the case. Even if I stayed there, that was not going to be the case. That there were going to be so many guys that we were going to have to make some tough decisions on, and ultimately some of those guys ended up leaving. But we've all talked about it. I mean, the best way to get a raise is your employer not wanting to have to replace you, fearing that you're going to leave and not wanting to have to replace you. If Greg Byrne had gone to the board of trustees, the big money people, and said, hey, look, Michigan wants our guy. I got a couple good guys I think we can go get. Greg Byrne or Kalen DeBoer might be at Michigan right now. But Greg Byrne was like, I think we've got our guy, and I don't want to get back on this carousel. It's hard enough to do it after Nick Saban. Now I got to do it 2 years later.
Yeah.
And that's one of the best motivators to get a raise, or one of the best ways to get a raise is you can convince your guys you might be leaving, and they do not want to have to find your replacement.
And then you have the roster piece of this, and this is what I brought up on our Hoover Toyota drive-in this morning, is what's the actual dollar figure raise per year? It's about $2 million?
Roughly 2, yeah.
About $2 million. You had 5 5-star recruits. You have a couple of stars that are already on your roster. Once Kalen DeBoer, if he had taken the Michigan job, just the economics of it all. Now, all those guys can leave, and they're at least open for renegotiation. If I'm a 5-star recruit, all of a sudden I've signed with Alabama. Now Kalen DeBoer leaves. Here comes Texas. It's going to cost me more probably than $500,000 to keep each one of those 5-star recruits. Boom, you already paid more than $2 million just trying to keep players.
Well, and look, that's the worst thing in today's NIL is really resetting. Look, you had no choice with Nick Saban because he retired, but Kalen DeBoer's done a hell of a job. I think we agree. I think there's a lot of people out there that are still undecided. But when you look at the neighborhood of coaches he's in, Cignetti obviously won a national championship. We talked about Kirby, won national championship, Ryan Day. But Lane Kiffin's sitting there making more money. Lane Kiffin's never won anything.
No.
That's right.
Well, and as Keith says in the chat room, if you're a Bama fan and want Kalen DeBoer going, raise your hand and tell me who you would hire. He goes, I ask that question all the time. I never get a good answer.
You get some Lane Kiffins. Lane Kiffin, by the way, making more money than
That's
Kalen
right.
DeBoer.
And by the way, Lane Kiffin's not going to leave LSU to go to Alabama.
And even at Ole Miss, if DeBoer had left, to Jim's point, you're going to be paying what you're paying DeBoer right now for Lane Kiffin, who's never even coached a playoff game. Now, that does come with an asterisk he would have if he'd have stayed there. But, you hear a lot of Dan Lanning. Well, Dan Lanning may never leave Oregon. I don't know. Maybe an Alabama job could convince him to, but that is far from a guarantee. You hear a lot of D'Amico Ryans. D'Amico Ryans, I don't think he'll ever coach anywhere but the NFL. He's never going to be a college head coach.
And the Dan
He'll
Lanning
always
thing,
have an NFL job.
If it didn't work out at Houston, D'Amico Ryans would be unemployed for about 2 seconds.
Well, and the Dan Lanning thing, match up the resumes, and we saw the head-to-heads.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand what Alabama fans want right now. Look, if you have a complete implosion and you go 8-4, 7-5, then you can start to have some questions. But when you go from year 1 to year 2 in a better situation, and back to a point we really don't bring up that you said with Saban, 26 contributors gone immediately, and having to revamp that roster and following the greatest to ever do it is such a difficult task.
What do you think is a bigger crapshoot? Because that's what it's being called in the chat room, is a crapshoot, hiring head coaches. Bigger crapshoot, drafting a first-round quarterback in the NFL or hiring a major college football coach?
Okay, let's think about that a little bit. Hoover Toyota, our drive-in and drive homes on Friday and Monday. You can see those on our social media platforms at Next Round Live. But always great, unbelievable inventory, hoovertoyota.com.
Yeah, they have been serving Birmingham, Alabaster, Vestavia for over 20 years, perfecting the art of customer service. That's why they've got that red carpet program, gives you ways to let your friends and family experience the amazing shopping experience with their referral program. I've told you I'm speaking from experience. I'm a customer multiple times. Bought Layton Christmas of 2024. Her RAV, she loves it. I got the Land Cruiser back in October. The best when it comes to finance options, customer service. Get in, see Scott, Harold, Kim, all of the fine folks there. You can stop in Highway 150, beautiful location, or view their inventory and great pricing today at hoovertoyota.com.
All right, so set up the question again for us, Brownie.
Which is a bigger crapshoot, drafting a first-round NFL quarterback, or I don't even know how to word it, because I initially said hiring a coach at a major college football program.
How about a top 25 program?
Okay, a top 25 program hiring a football coach.
I would say your top 25 program probably has more success than first-round quarterbacks.
That's saying a lot.
I would think that.
Yeah, I think so too. But
because if you draft a quarterback with a top 10 pick, you expect him to be a Hall of Fame quarterback, right?
Yeah.
I mean, would you agree with that?
No,
If I use a top 10 pick on you, I expect you to be a Hall of Fame quarterback, or else I wouldn't draft you in the top 10. If I'm a top 25 program and I hire a coach, I expect them to win a national championship. That's the only reason I'm hiring you.
Well, if you would have given me homework here, I would have this ready.
I got this on the fly,
But
though.
if you just go back since 2000.
Well, look, I've got the last 5 years.
Of what?
Quarterbacks.
Yeah, it hasn't been a great run the last 5 years.
So 2024, really good quarterbacks. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May.
You can't tell me any of those 100% are going to be Super Bowl winners or Hall of Famers.
Yeah, well, Drake May's already played for one.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams hosted a playoff game. Jaden Daniels went to an NFC championship game. Bo Nix has been to an AFC championship game. I'm just saying that's unique. Penix and McCarthy, those are unknowns. Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson just got declined his fifth-year option. Kenny Pickett was the only guy in 2022. Obviously, that didn't work. Mac Jones, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Tagovailoa.
That's a lot of Billy Napiers.
Daniel Jones, Dwayne Haskins. Yeah, I think it's more difficult to get. Now, again, I would need to see the other side of that, which is the coaches.
What was the year that Lincoln Riley took the Oklahoma job, and that was the wildest coaching one we'd ever seen?
2016.
When Lincoln Riley left for
No,
USC?
he took the USC job. I apologize.
That was when Brian Kelly left Notre Dame for LSU. Lincoln Riley left Oklahoma for USC.
So
2021. All right.
Yeah. So if you look at it like that, now the thing I would immediately say is how many coaches has Florida gone through? How many coaches has Texas gone through up until this point they're at currently?
Marquee programs.
What are some other marquee programs that don't seem to get coached right?
Texas A&M, they think they have with Elko, but
but that was a struggle for a while.
If we're just going top 25 overall programs, Auburn is in that discussion.
Tennessee from post-Fulmer until Heupel.
I'm not sure you're right when we start doing it this way.
I think I'm wrong when you start to look at the programs.
Yeah.
But, I think the expectations are different. Like, I think a lot of these coaches could have been serviceable. But the problem is when and here's the difference. Like, I think you can still marry, weird that the Colts and Chris Ballard end up not optioning Anthony Richardson, but they get another first-round guy in Daniel Jones that they just extended from 2019. I think you can live with a quarterback that, and Brown, in your words, is just good enough.
Top 15, I've always said if you get a top 15 NFL quarterback, you have to marry him.
Yeah, but see, you don't have to do that when you're a college football player.
No, you cut them loose and pay them a ton of money not to be your coach anymore.
And your expectation is immediately they should win a national championship, and if they don't, if that's the expectation, after a couple of years it gets stale. That's not the same with the quarterback. So I think probably I'm going to do a complete 180. I think it is the coaches now.
And now Matt Rule and his results and his contract is being talked about.